Have you ever left a conversation feeling strangely unsettled? No one insulted you. No one argued with you. Every face wore a smile. Yet somehow, you walked away feeling diminished. That feeling is rarely an accident. The most dangerous people don't announce their hatred. They don't shout. They don't confront you. They smile, shake your hand, and quietly hope your next step ends in failure. Machiavelli recognized this truth centuries ago. An open enemy is easy to identify because their hostility keeps you alert. A hidden enemy is far more dangerous. They convince you that everything is fine while slowly positioning themselves against you. In this video, you'll learn to recognize the subtle behaviors that reveal silent resentment long before it damages your reputation, relationships, or future. And stay until the end. The final behavior is the one most people mistake for genuine friendship. More successful lives have been undermined by it than by open hostility. Before we continue, do one simple thing. Write in the comments, "I trust actions more than words." This isn't for the algorithm, it's a promise to yourself. Because the moment you begin judging people by what they consistently do, instead of what they promise, their true intentions become impossible to hide. Let's begin. The first sign is deceptively simple. Not every congratulations comes from a sincere heart. Some people smile because politeness demands it. They applaud because remaining silent would expose too much. Their words sound supportive, yet something in their expression feels hollow. Look closer. Real excitement reaches the eyes. Forced approval never does. They offer carefully measured compliments. "That's nice. Good for you. You were lucky." Just enough praise to appear gracious. Never enough to honor what you've accomplished. Their voice carries no excitement. Their words hold no pride for your success, only obligation disguised as kindness. People who genuinely care about you instinctively amplify your victories. They celebrate because your progress brings them happiness. Hidden enemies respond differently. They minimize your achievements until they seem ordinary. They immediately change the subject. They highlight imperfections, or they compare you to someone who has done even more. Not because your success lacks value, but because reducing your achievement protects their ego. Machiavelli understood that comparison is woven into human nature. The moment your progress reminds someone of the gap between the life they live and the life they wanted, admiration can quietly become resentment. Your success is not what unsettles them. What unsettles them is what your success says about the choices they never made, the opportunities they ignored, and the potential they allowed to fade. Sometimes your greatest achievement is simply becoming the mirror they never wanted to face. The higher you rise, the more your presence unsettles those who measure themselves against you. Watch closely. Real friends celebrate your progress. Hidden enemies merely endure it. Have you noticed how some people always have an explanation for your success? No matter what you achieve, they immediately search for a reason that has nothing to do with your discipline, effort, or ability. You worked relentlessly. You were just lucky. You earned recognition. You knew the right people. Your business grew. The timing was perfect. In their mind, your success can never come from who you are, because accepting that truth would force them to question the excuses they've repeated for years. This is one of the oldest defenses of the human ego. It is easier to discredit another person's victory than to confront your own inaction. So they convince themselves your success was accidental, undeserved, temporary, not because it's true, because it protects their pride from painful reality. Machiavelli understood that wounded pride blinds people more effectively than ignorance ever could. Envy rarely sees the world as it is. It rewrites reality until the truth becomes bearable. Pay attention to those who constantly downplay everything you accomplish. They won't attack you directly. That would expose too much. Instead, they quietly shrink your victories until they seem ordinary. Their purpose isn't to understand your journey. Their purpose is to make sure your progress never forces them to confront their own limitations. There's another behavior almost everyone misunderstands. We assume that the people who pay the most attention to us must care the most. Often, the opposite is true. The person who secretly resents you may know more about your life than your closest friend. They notice where you go, who you spend time with, what you buy, what you post, even the smallest change in your routine. They remember details you don't even remember sharing, because they're always watching. At first, that attention can feel flattering. It isn't. Most of the time, it comes from comparison, not admiration. People who genuinely support you enjoy watching you grow. They never feel diminished by your success. Hidden enemies watch for a different reason. Every step you take forward forces them to measure how far behind they feel. So they quietly keep score, waiting, watching, hoping you'll stumble. Every victory you earn reminds them of the goals they never pursued. Machiavelli understood that envy creates obsessive observers. They study the very person they resent, not to learn, not to improve, but to search for flaws that make them feel better about themselves. Never mistake constant attention for respect. Sometimes the person who knows the most about your life isn't your greatest supporter. They're simply your quietest rival, top of form, bottom of form. The wisest people know a simple truth. Attention is not always affection. Sometimes it's surveillance disguised as interest. A silent observer collecting information, waiting, watching, looking for the moment when knowledge becomes leverage. Life eventually reveals who truly stands with you. When everything is going well, people gather around you. They laugh with you, celebrate your victories, enjoy your presence. Success attracts company, but hardship reveals character. The moment life turns difficult, the room begins to empty. Messages slow down, invitations disappear. People who once promised, "I'll always be here," suddenly become impossible to find. Excuses multiply, distance grows, and what looked like loyalty reveals itself as convenience. Machiavelli understood that comfort hides character. Adversity exposes it. Anyone can stand beside a winner. Success offers status, influence, opportunity. People enjoy being close to those who are rising. But when certainty disappears, so do most of the spectators. Hidden enemies often wait for difficult seasons, not because they want to help, because your struggle gives them something they secretly hope to see. Proof that you are not as unstoppable as you seemed. They won't celebrate your hardship openly. That would reveal too much. But they won't rush to support you either. Instead, they observe from a distance, quietly convincing themselves that your problems somehow justify their resentment. Watch carefully. Who reaches out when you have nothing to offer? Who stays when there is no benefit? That answer reveals everything. Real friends value you, not your success, not your status, not your usefulness. You. Those who disappear were never committed to you. They were committed to what proximity to you provided. Never confuse presence with loyalty. True loyalty is tested when your success no longer benefits anyone else. But hidden resentment doesn't always appear as distance. Sometimes it arrives disguised as concern. This is one of the most deceptive forms of manipulation. It doesn't sound hostile, it sounds caring. "I'm only saying this because I care about you. I don't want to see you get hurt." The words feel protective, the tone feels sincere, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because after those words comes the real message. Lower your expectations, be realistic, play it safe, stop aiming so high. Give up the ambition that makes you different. Fear often speaks in a calm voice, and many people mistake it for wisdom. But not every warning is designed to protect you. Some warnings are designed to restrain you. Machiavelli understood that people often protect their own comfort before they protect your future. Someone who secretly resents your potential may discourage your biggest goals, not because they believe you'll fail, because they fear what your success would say about their own choices. Your victory would force them to confront the risks they were too afraid to take. So they praise caution. They celebrate safety. They normalize mediocrity, not intentionally perhaps, but consistently. Their advice reflects the limits they accepted in their own lives. That's why advice should never be judged by how kind it sounds. Judge it by where it leads. Real wisdom challenges you. It pushes you beyond your comfort, even when the truth is difficult to hear. Manipulation does the opposite. It comforts you, soothes you, keeps you exactly where you are. And sometimes, the greatest threat to your future is not an enemy who attacks you. It's a friendly voice that convinces you to become less than you could have been. Open enemies are easy to recognize. They criticize you openly, challenge your ideas, show their dislike without hesitation. At least you know where they stand. Hidden enemies choose a different path, a far more effective one. They rarely confront you directly. Direct conflict carries consequences, so they fight from the shadows, with whispers, suggestions, carefully chosen questions, not to accuse, but to plant doubt, without ever revealing their true intention. You'll hear things like, maybe I'm overthinking it, but don't they seem different lately? Or I could be wrong, but I've heard a few things. The words sound harmless, almost innocent, but that's the trap. A single suggestion is enough. The suspicion grows on its own, while the person who planted it walks away untouched. This is one of the oldest psychological weapons. People trust ideas more when they believe those ideas came from themselves. So hidden enemies don't make accusations. They ask questions, they leave gaps, and let other people fill them with their own assumptions. The rumor spreads, the doubt multiplies, and the one who started it appears completely innocent. Machiavelli understood that reputation is power. Long before psychology explained social influence, he knew one truth. Destroying a person's image is often easier and more effective than defeating them directly. Once trust begins to crack, evidence becomes less important. People start questioning everything, every decision, every motive, every success, not because they know the truth, because doubt has already entered the room. So watch the people who rarely speak in facts. They prefer hints, implications, half-finished stories. Honest people address problems directly. Manipulative people influence opinions without accepting responsibility for the damage they cause. Then something else begins to happen. Your confidence changes the way people react to you. To secure people, confidence is inspiring. It reminds them of what's possible. But to deeply insecure people, confidence feels like a threat. Not because you've harmed them, but because your certainty exposes everything they still question within themselves. That's why some people grow colder. The moment you begin respecting yourself, you set boundaries, you stop apologizing, you protect your time, your energy, your peace. Suddenly they say, "You've changed. You're difficult now. You've become arrogant." But nothing about your character changed. Only one thing did. You stopped asking permission to be yourself. Machiavelli understood this. Power begins with self-possession. A person who knows their worth cannot be manipulated as easily as someone desperate for approval. Hidden enemies sense this immediately, even if they can't explain why. They preferred the old version of you, the uncertain one, the people pleaser, the one who questioned every decision, because uncertainty is easy to control. Confidence is not. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect, stop chasing validation, stop letting others define your value, their influence disappears. Real friends never fear your confidence. They celebrate it. Your strength doesn't threaten theirs. Hidden enemies see it differently. They call confidence arrogance. Not because you're arrogant, because admitting the truth would force them to face their own insecurity. Your self-respect reminds them of what they've never found within themselves. Then comes one of the hardest truths. Not everyone is disappointed when you fail. Some people feel relief. They'll never admit it. They may even comfort you. But beneath their sympathy, your failure brings them peace. As long as you were winning, they had to compare themselves to you. The moment you stumble, that comparison disappears. Your setback becomes proof that they no longer have to question their own lives. Machiavelli understood that envy doesn't always want to win. Sometimes, it only wants someone else to lose. Instead of building discipline, they wait for life to humble you. That's why adversity reveals people better than success ever can. Watch what happens after you fail. Real friends lift you up. They remind you who you are. They help you stand again. Hidden enemies become strangely quiet, almost comfortable. They stop competing, because in their mind, life has finally restored the balance. Some even disguise satisfaction as concern. They ask endless questions about your fall, but show almost no interest in your comeback. Never judge people only by how they react to your success. Watch how they respond to your failure. That's where the truth appears. Healthy competition builds people. It inspires growth, discipline, excellence. Hidden competition is different. It is born from comparison, insecurity, and the need to feel superior. The most dangerous rivals never admit they're competing with you. They cheer for you, then quietly keep score. Every win becomes a comparison. Every step forward becomes a challenge. The moment you achieve something, they suddenly have a bigger story, a greater success, a higher goal. You share your progress. They rush to share theirs, not to celebrate with you, to stay ahead of you. Machiavelli understood this well. Pride often speaks louder than reason. An envious person doesn't always want what you have. Sometimes, they simply can't accept that you got there first. Your success becomes a mirror, reflecting everything they believe they're missing. Instead of learning from you, they become trapped by comparison. That's the danger of hidden competition. You think you found a supporter. In reality, you found someone waiting to surpass you. Watch the people who turn every one of your victories into their own contest. Real allies walk beside you. Hidden rivals always try to walk ahead. Then comes the hardest truth of all. Some people never truly liked you. Not because you hurt them, not because you betrayed them, but because your existence challenged the story they told themselves. Your confidence exposed their insecurity. Your discipline exposed their excuses. Your ambition reminded them of the dreams they abandoned. Instead of finding inspiration, they found resentment. Machiavelli understood that emotion comes before logic. People often decide how they feel first, then search for reasons later. Someone can dislike you long before they know why. The explanations come afterward. Their judgment says little about who you are. It says everything about their fears, their frustrations, their unfinished battles. The greatest mistake you can make is spending years trying to earn acceptance from people who rejected you long ago. You change your personality, lower your standards, hide your confidence, shrink your ambition, all to become more acceptable. But you cannot convince someone to value what they've already chosen to resent. The wisest response is never hatred, never revenge. It's awareness. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people arrive only to teach you who not to trust. Your value is never dependent on the approval of people who refuse to see it. The lesson isn't to become paranoid, it's to become observant. Machiavelli never taught fear. He taught clarity. Understand human nature, recognize patterns, judge reality, not appearances. The world isn't full of enemies, but it isn't full of pure intentions either. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Some people applaud your success, while secretly wishing it were theirs. Some give advice, while hoping you never outgrow them. Some stand beside you when you're winning, then disappear when life gets hard. These signs are rarely obvious. They reveal themselves slowly, through patterns, small moments, and repeated behavior. Don't waste your energy exposing everyone who isn't for you. Protect your focus instead. Let their actions expose their character, while your attention stays on your own path. People who understand human nature don't chase approval. They observe, they learn, and they choose carefully who earns their trust. Remember, the goal isn't to become cold, it's to become clear. Kindness without awareness creates vulnerability. Awareness with wisdom creates strength. The moment you stop asking people to recognize your worth, their opinions lose their power, especially the opinions of hidden enemies. Your mission isn't to make everyone like you. Your mission is to move with so much purpose that other people's opinions can no longer change your direction. Never forget, your success reveals people. Your growth reveals people. Your confidence reveals people. Some will grow with you. Some will walk away. Some will quietly prove they were never on your side. Don't let that make you bitter. Let it make you wiser. If you've ever experienced someone who supported you in public but resented you in private, leave this affirmation in the comments. I see people clearly. I trust actions over words. I protect my peace. Write it as a promise to yourself, a reminder you won't forget. Awareness is your shield. Wisdom is your strength. You don't need approval from people who were never meant to understand your path. The deeper you understand human nature, the less power hidden motives have over your life.